Today we're conducting a strategic analysis of the two fundamental roles in any communication, the explainer and the listener. But let's be clear, this isn't about soft skills. We are treating these as distinct tactical options.
So, it all comes down to this one question. In any exchange, who truly holds the advantage? Is it the person transmitting information or the one who's receiving it? The answer is far from obvious.
Look, most of us operate under a powerful illusion that speaking equals dominance. We have this deep, instinctual link between the person talking and the person who has authority and control. It's a common perception, but a dangerously incomplete one.
And it's not just a gut feeling. Research actually backs this up with something called the Babble hypothesis. What studies show is that in small groups, we consistently pick the person who talks the most to be the leader. Regardless of whether their contributions have any real value. Sheer volume gets mistaken for competence.
As the lead researcher Neil McLaren points out, this just flies in the face of what we think leadership should be. We want to believe we follow substance, but the data suggests we often just follow the noise. And this cognitive shortcut, well, that's the first piece of our strategic puzzle.
Okay, so the explainer gets perceived as the leader. Simple, right? Not exactly. Because that very act of explaining, of constantly transmitting information, creates a massive strategic vulnerability. We call it the explainer's curse. And the curse is rooted in a really specific cognitive bias, the curse of knowledge. Here's how it works. Once you know something, it becomes almost impossible to remember what it was like not to know it. You just unconsciously assume your audience has the same context, knows the same jargon, and sees the same mental picture you do. This right here is the explainer's fatal flaw.
A classic Stanford experiment from 1990 just illustrates this perfectly. They had one group, the tappers, tap out the rhythms of really common songs. Now, in their own minds, they could hear the full melody playing along, so they predicted the listeners would guess the song correctly about 50% of the time.
The actual success rate? A measly 2.5%. Only 3 songs out of 120 were identified correctly. For the listeners, it was just a bunch of random taps. That chasm between perception and reality, that is the curse in action. The explainer is operating with completely faulty intelligence about their own effectiveness.
So, this is where we need to reframe our thinking. Communication isn't just one action. It's 2 completely different strategic tools. The explainer is focused on output, shaping a narrative. But the listener, they're focused on input, gathering intelligence. You're shifting from just broadcasting information to actively collecting it.
Let's break this down analytically. On one side, you've got the explainer. Their primary goal is to shape perception and direct action using persuasion as their main tactic. Their key vulnerability? The curse of knowledge. On the other side, the listener. Their goal is to gain intelligence and understand the terrain, using inquiry to uncover hidden information and vulnerabilities. Their biggest risk is getting lost in the data, analysis paralysis. These are 2 completely different weapon systems. And this is the absolute key insight right here. The listener isn't a passive recipient. The listener is an intelligence agent, actively mapping the strategic landscape of the conversation.
So we need a more tactical definition of active listening. Forget being polite. Strategically, it's the ability to retain information for one reason: to map the other person's position, their needs, their weaknesses, their goals, and then use that intelligence to control the flow of the entire interaction. When you think about it this way, the standard tools of active listening become tactical maneuvers. Paraphrasing isn't just for empathy, it's to confirm that your intelligence is accurate. Asking clarifying questions isn't just for comprehension, it's to probe for weaknesses in their argument. And summarizing isn't just for alignment, it's a power move to seize control of the narrative.
But here's the thing. In any high-stakes environment, choosing just one role over the other is a luxury you simply don't have. True strategic advantage comes from integrating both with absolute precision. This is the synthesis protocol.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. I mean, in fields like healthcare, communication failure isn't just an inconvenience, it's catastrophic. It's a contributing factor in up to 70% of all sentinel events, and that means unexpected events that involve death or serious injury. To combat this, fields where you just can't afford to be wrong, like aviation and medicine, developed a protocol called closed-loop communication. Its sole purpose is to guarantee 100% message fidelity and to surgically remove the assumed understanding that comes from the curse of knowledge. It's a really rigid 3-step dance. Step 1, the call-out. The explainer gives a clear, specific order. Step 2, the check-back.
The listener repeats that order back, word for word. Step 3, confirmation. The original explainer confirms the readback was perfect. See what's happening? Each person has to both explain and listen for the system to work at all.
So, all of this leads to the ideal strategist, the flexible communicator. This is someone who doesn't default to one mode. They've mastered both toolkits, and they deploy the right one based on a cold, tactical read of the situation.
You can think of it as 2 primary leadership modes, telling and asking. Telling, that's the explainer's mode, is essential in a crisis. It's fast, it's direct, it gets technical knowledge transferred quickly, but its long-term result is dependency. Then there's asking, the listener's mode. You deploy this when you need innovation or when you need to build commitment. It creates deep trust and adaptability.
And this quote just captures the strategic power of that shift perfectly. Asking doesn't just gather information. It transforms the entire dynamic of an interaction. It is the lever that can turn mere compliance into genuine commitment. So the final strategic logic is this. You listen first. You listen to map the terrain and gather intelligence on motivations and vulnerabilities. Only then do you explain, using the intelligence you've gathered to shape the terrain with precision. The master strategist doesn't just talk or just listen. They know exactly which tool to deploy and exactly when to switch.
Which brings us right back to our central question, but with a twist. The next time you open your mouth to speak, you have to ask yourself, are you strategically establishing your authority, or are you just giving away valuable intelligence and leverage for free?